Welcome to the Pubco Studios here at Britton and Broadway in Oklahoma City. I'm business writer Jim Stafford, and today we have as our guest David Matthews with TrailBlazer Capital. It's a Dallas-based venture capital firm. Welcome, David.
Thank you.
Well, I know you're an Oklahoma City native, and you recently opened an Oklahoma City office for TrailBlazer Capital, but tell us, how'd you get from Oklahoma City to Dallas in the first place?
Well, that's an easy story. It's kind of sad, but I graduated college from Ohio State in '86, and I came back home to Oklahoma City and looked for work and looked for work and looked for work and just couldn't find a job here. And I wound up taking my search down to Texas and interviewed with firms down there and landed in Dallas. I guess I'm thankful because I met my lovely bride and we now have 3 children. But I missed Oklahoma, of course, ever since.
Now, you were a co-founder of a company that you later sold. Tell us what that company was and what it did.
Well, in '91, I started an audiovisual services company called In Telecon with 2 partners in Dallas. I've been an entrepreneur since I was a kid mowing lawns here in Oklahoma City. Even in college, I did entrepreneurial things, startups, so it was a natural for me to start a company. And we built this company very fast. We were very fortunate. We launched during a recession. We had a great product, great service at a great price, and we were able to gain market share and grow very quickly, and grew from 0 to over 20 million revenue in our first 6 years.
Then you eventually sold your share of that company, and then ultimately created TrailBlazer Capital. Tell me about TrailBlazer Capital and what type of companies that you look to invest in as a venture capitalist.
Well, I look primarily at business-to-business offerings, products and services. So software and services for businesses is really the forte of the fund.
Is it usually technology-based companies that you look at?
Technology and software.
Okay.
So things that are disruptive, that make processes or services more efficient for businesses.
Any examples of any companies you've invested in?
Prior to TrailBlazer, when I was just doing what I call hip pocket seed angel capital, I backed a company called People Answers. A fellow had sold his business and was launching a new company that took assessment testing for hiring managers and took it from a manual test that you would do with a number 2 pencil and mail it off to get it scored into something that was done automatically on the internet, where a hiring manager could get results on a new hire within moments. And that was an early investment that kind of set me on this course.
Okay.
And most of my investments in TrailBlazer have been along those lines.
Well, tell me, why did you branch out then back to Oklahoma City with TrailBlazer? And I assume you still have your Dallas office, right?
I do. I'm based there, but spend more and more time up here. The reason is I really have a geographic focus and feel that the Texas and Oklahoma in general are very underserved with venture capital and just early stage sources of growth for entrepreneurs. And so having DFW as a home base and a 250-mile geographic focus around it, it's natural to have an office here.
Okay.
Plus, it's my hometown, and when I come up here, I can stay at Mom and Dad's house and get a home-cooked meal.
Well, there you go. Well, tell me what the Oklahoma Opportunity Fund is then. I know that's something else that you've started, right?
Yes. Just started that recently, and my thinking was, being a new player up here in the market, the way I started TrailBlazer before the fund, for several years I just did individual investments, like I mentioned, People Answers. I did several of those just through what I call an informal seed fund, and developed a lot of relationships and developed a lot of traction with that, and that seemed like a good way to get things going up here. Whereas, an investment TrailBlazer makes, I'm going to put a lot of study and a lot of analysis into it and a lot of scrutiny to make sure it fits within our tight investment parameters. Whereas with the seed capital fund, I'll do it based on just really believing in the entrepreneur and thinking they're a good entrepreneur that can build a business and that they have a good idea. And just leave it at that. Write them a check and hope that they're successful.
Okay.
So that's $1 million fund, and I anticipate doing probably 6 to 10 100,000 average size investments.
Do you think you'll work any through I2E, the local organization that helps startups?
Oh, absolutely. Already have very good contact with them, with both their Tulsa and Oklahoma City offices.
Okay.
And they're just a great outfit, providing a great service to entrepreneurs at the earliest stage. So I've looked at several things they have, and I'm sure one of these days we'll wind up doing an investment in one of their client companies.
Well, tell me, you're also involved in this Entrepreneurs Organization, which is a kind of a formal organization, and it has recently also expanded to Oklahoma City. Tell me what that group is and what they do.
Well, I joined the Dallas chapter of EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, in the mid-'90s when this audiovisual company of mine was growing by leaps and bounds. And it was just a huge help to me as an entrepreneur to have that set of resources. It's called a peer-to-peer learning organization. It's a nonprofit based out of Washington, D.C., about 7,000 members worldwide. And I joined the Dallas chapter. I've been in that for 15 years now, and just got huge help. When I was struggling with a business issue, whether it's growth or dealing with competition or dealing with a hiring or firing issue with employees, very helpful to have this group and have input of relevant experience from fellow entrepreneurs. And I saw that Oklahoma didn't have a chapter, and I'm seeking to correct that.
How many members you got in Oklahoma right now?
We have 14, I believe, 12, and we have 2 that have committed to sign on recently.
And you also have a meeting coming up next week. Tell me about that. Where is it going to be?
We do. We have a monthly learning event, and next week we're having it Tuesday the 26th at I2E, both in their Tulsa and Oklahoma City locations, connected by video conference. And the subject is, what's your exit strategy? And I'm going to be moderating a panel of 3 successful entrepreneurs that have not only built a great business, but figured out a way to sell it for a lot of money. And I'm sure everybody would be curious to learn about that process.
Absolutely. Well, Dave Matthews, thanks for coming into our studio today and talking about TrailBlazer Capital and Entrepreneurs Organization.
It's delightful.
Let's see it.